The work that I do is really inspired by Lilikala Kame'elehiwa, about to be a senior in college. I walked into her office because, she's my auntie, right? I'm like, Auntie, I need to write an honors thesis in order to stay in school. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I'm sitting in her office and she looks at me and she kind of chuckles and she says, have you ever read the Mo'olelo Hiʻiaka i ka Pōleopele? And I'm like, oh, what do you mean read it? I know the story. I can tell you the story. I know the story. I've heard it many times. She's like, no, but have you read it? I'm like, no. And she's like, okay, you ever heard of this wahine hopoi? I was like, what? No, this is a story about Hiʻiaka. There's no hopoi. I don't know what you're talking about. This is Hiʻiaka and Pele and maybe wahine ma'o if you've been paying attention. She's like, okay, go read any version. I don't even care if it's in English. Just go read any version. Go look for hopoi. I think she has something to tell you. And that moment changed my entire life because I found hopoi, and then so many things that I was fighting to hold on to as a keiki, Hawaii, I was like, oh, I'm not weird, and I'm not an outcast, and I'm not an abomination, to my kupuna, I'm hopoi.
This episode engages Hawaiian worldviews in social contexts and explores themes of sexuality, gender, and erotics. Some language and content may be considered strong or triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Aloha mai kākou, and welcome to Kūkā Kīkī, a Māhū-led podcast where we kūkā and Kīkī about Kānaka sexuality, gender, erotics, and all things Māhū. This is a gathering of friends and community rooted in connection, joy, and resilience. Today we are joined by Dr. Jamaica Heolimeleikalani Osorio, co-editor of the special issue of Hulihia, and Leināʻala Mahi, a poet-photographer based in aloha ʻāina movements. In this Kūkā Kīkī, they hold a call and response between Wāhine Koa of different generations, speaking to the evolution of aloha ʻāina and wahine leadership in the Hawaiian sovereignty movement. They speak of how wahine of the Renaissance, seen and unseen, directly shaped their activism today.
Okay, here we are. Welcome.
Aloha.
Kūkā, Kīkī, Kuku, Kaka, all the things. Here we are. Thank you for joining us. We have much to discuss across generations of aloha ʻāina, of wahine, of all the things, and none of the things. But before we get into that, we've been having all of our guests introduce themselves as Kānaka, to talk about their ʻāina kupuna, talk about their ʻāina hanau, and any people they'd like to share that have shaped who you are as a Kānaka. Heoli, you're in front of me, so why don't we go with you?
Aloha mai kākou.
Aloha.
O wauno o Jamaica Heolimeleikalani Osorio, he kupa no ka ʻāina o Pālolo, ka ʻāina uluwehi o Lililehua, me ka makani wai o ma'o. My name is Jamaica Heolimeleikalani Osorio. I was born and raised in Palolo Valley, basically lived there my whole life until I went away to college. But my ʻāina kupuna, my mother's family, she comes from Detroit, ka ʻāina e. Ma moku honu. My father's family comes from moku o Keawe primarily. Everywhere from up in Hawaii all the way down Hamakua, eventually settling in Keaukaha and Hilo is where my father was raised. So most of my kupuna, their iwi, are on moku o Keawe, although I have some older kupuna from actually Oahu too, my grandmother's side. So that's where we're from. These days we live in Wāhine. Almost my entire family relocated to Wāhine during the pandemic. So I lived there.
Did you start the trend, or?
My brother started the trend 10 years earlier. He became pili with his wahine, who's born and raised Wāhine.
Okay.
And he kept saying, you guys gotta move out to Wāhine. It's like Hilo.
It really is.
Yeah, it's chilly, it's raining, get lots of Hawaiians and Japanese. It's just like Hilo. This is what it is. Filipino too, which we love.
The new stadium is going to be over there for Mary Monarch.
Oh God, yeah. Rain. So that's pretty special to live in a kauhale. My brother lives a mile up the road. My parents and one of my younger sisters live on the same property as me and my wahine and our two keiki. So we're trying to build pilina with that wahi because that's going to be that's the ʻāina hanau of my keiki. But yeah, that's me. That's where I'm from. Yeah.
Aloha, my name is Leināʻala Mahi. My nahono o Piʻilani. I grew up on Maui, and then I got into a certain school and ended up living on the hill for a little bit. I was a boarder for a hot second, and then my parents relocated here. My family is actually, well, my father's mother is where Hanai Ali'i, and we're from Waialua Moloka'i and Ka'ahonui. Those, we're all related. In fact, we still have a family house on the beach. That's our ʻāina. The whole valley was supposed to be Ka'ahonui and Tolofsen, which is a very Hawaiian name. It's Norwegian, and we have family members in Norway. So we're from there. We had family reunions there my whole time growing up. So I have a lot of aloha for that area. But now there's like a Moloka'i militia.
Full on. Something over there.
It's very, I don't even know. I found it on Google Maps one day because I was like nostalgic for the house, and I'm like, what is this? It is what it is.
It's hard times.
Yeah. And then my father's father, he's a Mahi, so obviously Kohala, Big Island and stuff like that. And those 4 siblings kind of got ostracized from the family because for some odd reason, my great-great-grandmother couldn't really hahaya the kids, so they ended up in the orphanage in Hilo. I don't know people know, but back in those days, they would let the kids out on the weekends. They would close the orphanage. And just leave the kids on their own.
Fend for themselves.
Yes. And my grandfather was one of the older kids, and he always felt bad for all the babies because they didn't have anything to eat all weekend until school opened again on Monday. All weekend.
Full on.
So he would go, and then that's how he ended up becoming a police officer. His brother did. Actually, 3 of the boys became police officers or first responders because one became a firefighter. Sorry, I'm a little loquacious, so.
Loquacious, mai, loquacious aku, all of it.
Yeah, so, but I mean, mainly I grew up on Maui, and then we moved here, and then I went away to the Bay Area and discovered other parts of me.
Yes, discover.
And then and then I was like, okay, but time to come back. So, and then I'm here. The only person or people I really shout out normally are my grandmothers because they were both kind of single parents at one point, and they still did what they had to in order to keep their family moving forward. And I just got an appreciation that no job is too small.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because of that, like, I try to be as gracious as possible because I don't know other people's backstories, and they're bringing a lot of stuff into whatever it is that they're in, and I appreciate that they even showed up. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah, that's me. Nothing special.
And we have all the guests answer that too, because I think at a time where, with Pride, where these episodes are coming out, oftentimes we are challenged or encouraged to ho'olauna in a way that centers sexuality or centers gender, centers like, this is everything about me you need to know, so like I don't have to like learn anything else. But for Kānaka to introduce yourself with the ʻāina and the kupuna that shape you says way more. I don't need to know anything else beyond the kino, if that makes sense. Kupuna over kino, if that makes sense. So anyway, thank you for sharing. Pilina-wise, I don't think I told you this. Duncan went to Wilson Elementary, right?
Yeah.
My kupuna wahine Koa Sarah, Teixeira, Portuguese people out there, was the kupuna at that school, and I was cleaning out my auntie's stuff, and she has a book of all the keiki that made pictures for her. Duncan Osorio, and oh my gosh, what's her name? She was the fiscal for Hawaii Nui Ākea, glasses, kind of bushy hair.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
One.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So they were classmates apparently.
No
anyway,
way.
I saw that and I was like, hey.
Oh, way. Was it a nice picture?
It was.
Good.
Thank you,
I'm
Duncan.
glad because he could do nice things when he takes his time.
Sure.
He puts the energy into it.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, So her family is from Hamakua.
Ew.
Ninole, Kalopa.
Yeah, I got
Pono
kupuna from
Hina.
Kalopa.
Yeah, so there's a connection. I mean, Kiawe line, yeah. Well, mine comes from Kiawe too. So anyway, when we introduce our kupuna and we figure out, oh, there's the upena
Ew.
of intimacies, as Dr. Osorio talks about. So thank you.
Who's that?
Who's that? I don't know her.
Which one?
Yeah, don't know her.
Sir,
Yeah, which
Dr.
one?
Osorio?
Yes, which one? That's the appropriate.
There's a medical one too,
There's a
I
medical
think.
one.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
So, shall we
Corgis.
get into this nitty gritty?
Ew.
Anyway, for people who are just listening to the episode and have no idea what this is about, we are talking about the special issue of Hulili, no Kopono ka Māhūi that Heoli and I are co-editing. Leināʻala has contributed a poem to it, so we are basing all of these conversations around the special issue, things about sexuality, gender, queerness, and how does that vibrate with our Kānaka understandings of that. Rather than calling it queer, we know that those our ways of being are the normal ways that we're trying to unpack in these kind of episodes. Anyway, so we titled this Part 1, Genealogies of Activism.
Ew.
Thanks, you ChatGPT, for that. Okay, so basically this episode is going to be a call response between aloha ʻāina leaders, looking across generations, looking across the evolution of how vast too, I ate with that, the aloha ʻāina movement has moved since the Renaissance to now. We see the Mauna, we see Red Hill, we see just a lot. So we'll talk about that and have Heolimeleikalani kind of go back and forth to see, how that vibrates. And if it does, if it doesn't, it's great. So let's start with our part 1. Leināʻala. So we know you to be part of the Renaissance movement with your photography. You capture a lot of wahine in the action, right? And maybe sometimes wahine that are on the front lines, some of them in the back, some well-known, some nameless. Can you talk about, I guess, how you got into the photography work, your place in the Renaissance movement, and how that just came to be?
Yeah, that's like a great question. I even had to think about back to what would I say was the catalyst?
Yeah.
But I realized I think it's just innately like a Kānaka thing where we are story keepers, right? And so I think I started out being younger, I did poetry or whatever I tried to. And then I distinctly remember being 12 and saving up money to buy, I know you guys don't know what this is because this is like retro old school, but Kodak came out with this camera. It was disc film. It was round like this, like the viewfinders.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like that, but it was film that you would put into your camera. And I saved $120 and I didn't realize that there was tax. So then when they said the tax, I was like, but my parents were there and they helped me cover the loss, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I just started documenting. It was my form of a diary. And it was because I get such a visceral reaction to going back to that memory. I can remember the winds I was feeling, the type of rain that fell, what did it smell like?
Yeah.
And so that kind of was my own personal diary. So then when I went to college, it was just natural. I had my camera and I was capturing these moments. And then sometimes I would look back either while I was processing the film or at the time Costco, you could go over there and get your film done. And then I would look at these pictures and be like, wow, damn, look at all the people in this picture. And then now it even more shocks me because some of the people who were students with me, my peers, are leaders now, or they have a lot of kuleana with our community. They're growing the community. They're trying to build community, right? And so I still kind of am in a wow period when I look
tripping
at those.
out about it, yeah.
Yeah, because for me, it really just started as something so intimate. This is my story. And I never told my son this, but the reason is, my grandmother had Alzheimer's. My dad has it now. I know I'm going to have it at one point. I won't be able to give my son these stories with the vibrancy that I had them.
Wow.
So I'm hoping that when he looks at these pictures on my granddaughter, that they'll at least have a little bit of sense of what it felt like at that time.
Yeah.
Because I know I won't be able to tell them those stories. So that's kind of how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll see
On
it.
record,
He'll
yeah.
see it, yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Thank
Sorry.
you. No, thank you for capturing that, because I think, especially for Heoli and my generation, right, if you aren't necessarily one that's plugged into people who are part of the movement, you only hear about it, oh, the Renaissance or
One
the
or two people.
right? We see the video
Yes.
of, you know, Dr. Trask, but if you don't know the context behind all of the challenge for her to even get up there and
Exactly.
not be well received,
Right.
at the time, that's amazing to have those photos in a sense where other people may hakumele and create a sensual mele to capture exactly what you're saying, but to have that visual sense, it's beautiful. So thank you for capturing that.
Thank you.
And moving to a descendant of the Renaissance.
I just want to listen.
Yeah, I know. You will, and you will share.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about being in it, not in it, families in it? You're like, what the heck? Is it that?
I think, I don't know if other people feel this way growing up, but when I was growing up, I just got the sense that everyone's life was like my life.
Got it.
You know, right? Like, this is how everyone
Right.
lives,
Yeah.
right? And what's wild about that is that my life was so different than my siblings' lives. Like, if you go back and look at kind of the archive of like if there were a cameraman following my dad around in the early 90s and in the movement work, like sometimes my other siblings were there, but I was always there. And like, I'm the only one who went to Kaiapuni. And that was more of just like bad chance. They didn't have room for my brother's class. Like, there's all these other kinds of things. And so, but I still grew up thinking like, this is how everyone spends their time. Like, on Saturday, they're down at the palace yelling at somebody.
You're like
and
Eliza
on Sunday-
Thornberry of the Renaissance.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's wild. And, like in my mind, like everyone was spending, if they were sick, they were terrorizing university professors at the new
Absolutely.
Hawaiian Studies building and like
Casual.
walking in on Kumu Haunani K. Trask's class or Kumu Lilikala Kame'elehiva or like chasing after Uncle Kanalu Young or like listening in to Kumu John Lake chanting with his haumana. Like, to me, I didn't realize how special that was.
Right.
That like I was given the opportunity not only to witness the kind of sensational moments of the like 90s wave of the Hawaiian Renaissance, but I also got to witness those like intimate background moments. I got to know those people. I got to, speak to them. And so that was, I think that made my interpretation of what the Hawaiian movement was very different than what other folks might have experienced who weren't given that like insider appreciation. I'll say that probably what was most impactful to me as a young person in terms of like how I came out to be is that I learned through the early 90s that educators were activists, because every educator I knew was an activist. My kumu at Anuenue were all activists. The kumu I saw teaching beside my father were all activists. I also learned that educators were creative people, right? Because we know that Kumu Haunani is a poet. We know that Uncle Kanalu is a composer, and my dad is So educators are creative. And then I also learned that women run the show.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That it doesn't matter who's actually on the microphone or who's in the picture that, the star advertiser puts out on Sunday morning or Monday morning, that it's not just women and wahine, Hawaii in particular, leading the analysis and building the analysis, but they're doing all that unseen labor.
Totally.
And they're bringing up haumana with them. And this is something I think we're getting back to now, but there was we struggled with this, I think, over the last 20 years to like step into the shoes of folks like Kumu Trask, who like really developed and mentored young organizers. Seeing that as a young kaikamahine who was like very much queered by society and like, where do I fit? What kind of work do I want to do in this world? Like, am I dressed right? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then here are these wahine who are unapologetically fierce They don't look anything like the damn princesses on TV.
Nope.
They're definitely not ladylike in a particular. They're gorgeous. They're stunning.
Sure.
But their mana is so deep, and the smart men beside them take notice. And so that was like, I honestly, like, as a makua now, I think about those experiences so much. I think about not trying to. My dad never indoctrinated me, right? He just like allowed me to be in these spaces. And so I don't want to indoctrinate my keiki. I just want to open up opportunity for them to be around folks who will challenge and nurture them. But I also think about who are the people I want in the background of the photos that my keiki are in? Who are the people I want my daughter to see, how they behave, how they malama each other? Who are the people I want my son to like, not just his ohana, but like, what kane do I want my son around? From a political standpoint and an intimate, personal standpoint. So it's cool on the other end of it to think like, I asked my dad, I'm like, did you think about that? He's like, no, I didn't think about it at all.
He's like,
but like, I think about it a lot. I think that's part of the movement.
He had his rat tail, and that was
my dad is very much admittedly, he was not the primary parent. You know? But like, I wouldn't leave him alone, so he took me everywhere.
We all have our kuleana.
Yep.
And it's nice to hear that the movement can allow, and today too, for wahine to be unapologetically wahine, and that wahine can be there not in a way to make one kane comfortable, right? Kānaka or not, right?
Yeah.
We can still enable those kind of behaviors, and we're seeing that kind of evolution to just be there and like hold space and not have to be like, oh, but you can be political, but like not
like
ruffle.
that.
But like a pretty political.
No. And I think that's what's exciting about educating kane to know how to do that and not be like, I am the leader and you'll support, but no, like let's open the door, and if you're uncomfortable, like let's work on that. Let's like investigate that. Let's unpack that. Does what Heoli's saying resonate with you as a makua during that time with Kawila and him growing up in Kaiapuni and seeing the same kind of, actions? Is that anything similar to you?
Yeah, totally. Sorry, like there's a lot of stuff to unpack from what was just said.
Unpack, one bag.
No, like, because it's true that at the time, the educators and the professors at Hawaiian Studies were like so active that a good chunk of like their energies went to that kind of stuff, organizing and things like that. But I think you hit it right on the head where you're like, but now we're doing more rounded type of thing, right?
Totally.
We're making these experiences for our kids, because that was my thing too for Kawila. I was like, I want to expose you, but I don't want to like pound it down your throat. And I want you to make that choice that if I'm going to be part of this community, I'm going to be building this community. I'm going to have a foundation where I'm going to be able to take these risks. And I want my family to like, olelo, and I mean, all of the mea. But it's through the experiences. I think if you don't leave the door open, and let the child choose if they want to close it or not. They might want to reopen it later. At that point, it's their choice. I feel like as makua, as kupuna, whatever, you're just exposing them to all the things. They can see all of the versions of Kānaka they want to be, and then choose. Even if me personally, I'm like, ooh, that version, I'm
not a big fan of that one.
That flavor's not my flavor, sure. Rocky Road, or, sure.
I like Rocky Road. But it's just some people and you expose, and then, but having that talk with them, like, how does that make you feel? How does that person make you feel? Do you feel safe with that person?
Yes.
Why? Like, right now what I'm finding is there's so many safe spaces that we've created that, so like, in conversations with Haunani, she would be like, oh, we've been colonized for 200 years. Now it's take us 200 years to decolonize. But what I've seen in my short life is that we were thinking of it linearly, when it's actually like grown geometrically. So like, I don't think she ever would have thought that at this state, we would have seen like when Mauna Kea happened and our march, right?
Yep.
I was overwhelmed.
Right.
Like I just crying at the sea of red when I saw it. And to hear people who knew Oli that I was like, girl, for real, you know that? I had no idea.
Right.
You know, and I had a coworker who she's Kānaka, but she identifies as Samoan. And that was the first time I saw her be proud to be Hawaiian.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. And so opening that door for conversations that were appropriate for her,
Sure.
at where she was in her decolonization. I think in the 90s, if you had shown them just a snippet of what was possible, and that is 2019, so that was like 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes.
It's totally crazy. When I came home, my mind was just blown. I was simply awed at how far our people came and how good they were at organizing, because back in the day, it was rough. It was super rough.
Quitting a little bit.
Yeah, it was always the same people bringing the same things, and you know, we didn't have a lot of Kānaka, so we had to sometimes rely on allies, and nothing against that, but now we're filling all of the holes. And then some. Now we are the storytellers. People are not telling our stories. So I think that's just amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Sorry, again, loquacious.
No, that you're seeing the ea of it all, right? Being actually centered in Kānaka first, rather than relying externally to be like, can you? Like, no, we got it.
Yeah.
We're good. Self-determined.
We're trained.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've done
all you guys have been trained.
We've done the work. But to that point, and I think a lot of times we get kind of, I would say, confused, or maybe the anger is misplaced, or even judgment, where we feel like my parents didn't grow up with olelo, my grandparents didn't grow up with olelo, my great-grandmother was the last mana leo, and sometimes we might feel like, oh, like my parents didn't know, but I had the privilege of being able to learn. But it's because of my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, that pushed for that. Sometimes we don't see the connection between, if it's like a kahua, right? The pohaku niho serve their own of just holding space, right? Then you have the next layer to kind of fill in the gaps, and goes and goes and goes. Sometimes we feel like my function in that layer is better than yours, or like it becomes a competition as to, I know more than X generation, therefore I can speak to whatever. It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's all one ecosystem, right? That's pulling together all of these things. So just because your grandparents didn't know X, Y, and Z doesn't mean that they weren't a part of the movement or the opportunity for you to stand and olelo or do whatever, you know what I mean?
Well, and like another way we might encourage our keiki to think about this too is like, what kind of work are you willing to do right now, knowing that you're not going to directly benefit from that labor?
Absolutely.
Right? Like, and that's one of the things we learned from when we're paying really close attention to our kupuna. That's one of the really great things I think we learned from them. Like, what kind of seeds will you plant now, knowing that they need to be planted and they need to be watered and you need to be attentive and intentional.
Yes.
And you may never see that tree fruit.
Man, I've tasted it.
Yeah. And then, so when we like remember that, right, then our keiki can know that, oh, hiki o ke olala Hawaii no ka mea, well, kanu kahi poe, kahi kupuna,
Ai.
I ke ia, na'u.
Aye. Totally.
So like that cyclical, remembering that, I think, what does Kumanoi calls that, the mo'oku'ohau consciousness, yeah? Always attentive to that.
You know, 8 generations down, before and after connecting that thing. And where maybe one generation's goal was to plant a tree, by the time the tree is planted, the next generation is like, we can plant a whole ulu. Ulu la'o of all the nāhelehele kind of things. Yeah. So we're seeing that, and I just, from your words, want to remind our listeners, our viewers out there, like, our generation's focus is no better, no less. It is all one continuation of the last generation's push. So let's stop trying to compare and ostracize people of what they don't, what they know, what they don't know. Yeah. And speaking of that, let's move to part 2. Chat calls it gender, wahine, and queer politics. But I would love to talk about, in the aloha ʻāina activism you've seen, how Wāhine Koa show up. Queer, not queer. right? And the evolution of that, where we kind of talked on that, where sometimes it's very kane heavy, and wahine aren't given the credit to what they're holding for the kane to even be in the front, right? I'm curious of where you've seen that grow from before yonder till now of, how do wahine show up? And if there are any sorts of conversations around queering wahine in our own Renaissance space. I feel like that happens, but maybe we don't really talk about that a lot. Lei, Heoli, want to talk about that? Doesn't have to be queer women per se, but queer in the sense that they are taken out of that idea of mainstream that. I'll give an example so Kaimi in the back over there in his paper on for American Quarterly talks about Haunani K's saying that she was queered as a wahine in the movement because she was not a wahine that birthed children. So it seems like a betrayal to the idea of ho'olu lāhui. We're all about ho'olu lāhui, have kids, be a nuclear family. Right?
Easy for the men to say.
Yeah, easy, right?
Your part is fun.
Yeah,
Right.
cloud and power, you're good. Yeah, but then what? So anyway, with that, it's the idea that if you are a betrayal to lāhui, if you do not serve a nuclear family function, a Christianized idea of what ohana is. So even if you are not queer per se, like Maile Arvin talks about, where the wahine in the Kawailua school for girls, they're just being Kānaka and relating to Kānaka women in ways we do. That scene is queer. That scene's like, we don't do that in America. We don't do that in kind of Western spaces. So to bring that to your experience of what you've seen in your eyes, how wahine show up, and were there instances where they were queered because they did not follow a certain cookie cutter, this is what wahine do and not do. Yeah, anyway, take the floor.
Yeah. For me, I guess I just don't know any better because my grandfathers had both been removed from our families before I was born. So I've always just had strong women in my family. And it was amazing to grow up like that because you get the agency to determine who you want to be and what your sense of self is. It's then when you get put into the structured institutions when you're like, oh, what's going on here? Why do I have to be thrown in this box? Why? I don't understand this label you're trying to give to me. So when I got into Hawaiian studies, it was such a good mesh and a fit. I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. Yeah, fire. And I never heard that quote from Haunani K, but I remember she would tell us in class and she would be like, I don't need to have kids. Like basically something to the effect of, I have books. Like her books were feeding the lāhui more than like if she had any kids.
A checklist to be like, I'm a mom now. Yeah.
Beyond a mom.
Right.
Because think about the legacy she created, not just here in Hawaii, but in other places. And then she made ties with people like Angela Davis and like all these other amazing female leaders out there.
Yep.
And then I was going to say worse than like other cultures, but for us it was like amazing. Then she made us read the words of other people and give us the context to understand why it's so powerful. Like, and she would get fired up. She'd start talking. She'd lick her lip, and it was like amazing. She'd have these mannerisms, and I would just be like, yes, I want to be like that.
Living,
yeah. I mean, and then to see people like, and it's funny because the Kina was in some of those classes with me, and like the first time I heard the word fecundity was Haunani K said it, and me and Hina looked at each other, and I was like, oh. She's like, yeah, fecundity. I'm like, yes, girl, feed. So we became fecundity sisters.
Love it.
Yeah, but it just like literally feeding us this fertilizer of words that took us. For some of the people who were in my classes, they were like, okay, Lava, I don't need to be part of the movement. I just gonna grow my little ohana. But that ohana ended up having people in the movement. So you just don't know, whatever it is that you want your role to be, it's for a greater good. You just know it is. And so, it's hard for me to be like, oh, this was like a queer and a non-queer moment, because it just is what it is. It was, and I was lucky that my grandmother was like, okay, yeah, this is part of, I'm active in the church and blah, blah, blah. But wait, let me also tell you about these pele stories and let me tell you about Kūkā. And I didn't realize that there was anything wrong with it until I went to like a Roman Catholic school, and I was like, oh, that's against one of my commandments. But then my grandmother would come back and give me more stories, and I was like, you know what? I like this. I'm gonna go with it. So yeah, it fed me in a way that always made me know I was connected to something else. And I feel like the kids these days, now that they know they're connected to something else, that helps you search out there. Now you don't have anything, like it's out in the sky, it's out in the stars. Right. You can decide what you want to do, because you always know where you're going to be connected to.
Totally.
There's Kānaka everywhere. You know, there's in Greece and Rome, and there's people who are well known in those countries who are Kānaka that we don't know about here, which just drives me crazy. I'm like, don't limit yourself. You can be whatever you want, but also you decided to come into this life and be Hawaiian. So what are you going to do for your people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could be small, could be huge. It's all huge.
Yeah.
It's all huge.
Your example brings a thought about how complex our existence is, where other systems would tell us what is Kānaka, what isn't, right? Just this strong binary of, you can only believe in Yesu, you can only be into Aumakua or whatever it is.
Right.
But we're seeing with, especially those generations, you know, they could pule to one and the other in a single sentence. And it wasn't this weird, like, you have to choose your allegiance to one. It kind of more is like, whatever serves the purpose and what I'm asking for. And I also invite our Kānaka today to not think so linearly and in these kind of like hard lines of, just because you're A means you cannot be B, right? Let's say for iconic examples, right? Just because you like one does not the other, right? It could just serve its own purpose as to pleasure and leʻaleʻa, or to hano.
Yeah.
And I love your example too with Haunani of being able to hano in different ways and expanding our understanding of what that is. Not just Kīkī, but she hanoed a generation of movement leaders. I think of Mary Covenant Pukui too. Of course, she was a makuahine, and also didn't receive the credit she's due. But in the sense of, she's just this voikumu ole, this fathomless wellspring of knowledge that every day I look at the Hawaiian dictionary. Imagine if we didn't have that, right? But those are the types of wahine that just pour out all of this love and mana, and sometimes, most oftentimes, don't get the credit for. But we benefit, right? But in the moment, maybe when they're alive, they're like, yeah, sure. And then after, like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. Look at, Haunani. So anyway, it's just bringing to the forefront, like, when we talk about queerness in the intro of the issue, which you're still working on, by the way.
Progress.
We even have discussions on, like, how do we even talk about queerness of what is and what isn't, because it's a whole nother system that tells us what's not mainstream, what is. I myself right now in 2025, I'm like, do I call myself queer? In the intro, we talk about queer parentheses ED because it's an action that tells us we are, rather than us being born into as Kānaka in our own homeland. Like, no, we're mainstream. We're okay. We have kuleana. We don't need to, whatever.
We don't pico.
We don't pico. You guys are the weird ones over there. You guys try to be in the club over here.
Wow, open up.
Yes.
Have a good time.
Yes, so anyway, this special issue, maybe you can speak to that too, Hioli, of like, where we're learning to even unpack, can I call myself Mahu? Can I call myself queer? Like, all of this weird kind of energy around, and it's good. We're having the conversations, special issue, that's why we're doing it. But I think to also give ourselves the grace that it's okay not to know. Our generation is looking towards getting clarity on that. Maybe not having the final answer, but maybe next generation. Oh, you guys go, Gen Z, go figure that out.
Figure it out. They can figure everything else out.
Alpha, come on, TikTok. Anyway, Hioli, any thoughts on what we've been sharing?
I have a lot of
Please,
thoughts about this,
please.
and I'm going to try to say like focus and succinct.
I'm getting quiet over here.
Real straight edge about this, okay?
The only thing we're going to be straight about.
I'm going to be real straight about this.
I was
Your
surprised you used
analytics.
that word.
I think I said earlier in our conversation that like growing up around these powerful wahine was so important to me because they were so different than like the ladylike Western image I was told. But there was also something different about that made me different from them. Like they still presented gender in a way that was very distinct than the way that I was going to present gender. And as a young kid in a Hawaiian space, it was in Hawaiian spaces. It was at Kaiapuni and in other similar Hawaiian spaces that I felt most uncomfortable as someone who was like this, like, for lack of a better word, this like queer kid, right? Like I didn't dress like the other girls. I didn't act like the other girls. I didn't talk like the other girls. I felt really uncomfortable in hula, where at the time, this may be different now because I'm not in a halo, but like there are really strict delineations around what wahine wear and what kane wear. And for those of us somewhere in between, like that did not feel very affirming or safe for me. But I think those are, I don't wish those experiences on anyone. And I think a lot of the work that I do now is trying to like create these mirrors for young keiki who are exploring different parts of their gender and sexual expression to see like, you are not actually queer. You can call yourself queer if you want, but you are not queer to your kupuna. The things you feel and the way you move, like I can see that in Laʻiʻekawai, and I can see that in Hiʻiaka, and I can see that in Keʻaumelemele. I can see that in the parts of the mo'olelo of Papa and Wakea that we do not tell about their gender expression, gender for lack of a better word.
Right.
So I don't wish the experience I had as a young person on anyone because it was really challenging. But I will say that experience actually helped me to understand in an intimate way the way that our Hawaiian spaces continued to endure through colonial violence. And it helped me as someone really take seriously all different kind of tentacles of colonialism. And a part of that is the way that we are missionized and the kind of religious practices and teachings that many of our people have accepted. And no judgment from me, but a lot of those teachings contradict with the teachings that come from a lot of our mo'olelo.
Absolutely.
And so experiencing that personally allowed me to be in the gray area analytically. And I got to see less about this is black and this is white and this is right and this is wrong, but instead it's actually, we have so many stories. And the Bible, people are going to take offense to this, but the Bible is a story. It's a mo'olelo.
Yes.
In the same way that ka mo'olelo Hiʻiaka i Poliopele is a mo'olelo, and they are full of ike.
Right.
And they are full of a particular kind of perspective and even like a particular kind of kapu and kānāwai. And it is up to us as Kānaka to learn from the mo'olelo that we carry with us.
Absolutely.
And so I think I admittedly, I don't know if this was a failure of my ohana or my part of the community. I didn't grow up with a lot of people I saw as what we would say today, like queer ancestors or queer kupuna. I didn't see a lot of queer people around.
Nope.
And because of that, when I was growing up, I actually didn't think I was going to grow old. And not in this like dark suicidal ideation way. I was just like, I could not see myself as an old person because I never saw a Hawaiian who could have looked anything like I would have looked like past the age of 20.
Right.
I was like, okay, so like this is fast and quick, better make them good.
Right.
I think that all of that hurt me and helped me as a thinker, as a creative person, as a Kānaka, to try to be more attentive to those that I'm not the only one experiencing this. And it's not just queered kids who are experiencing this. This can be replicated in all different parts of our community. So how can we pay attention to those puka, I think. And that's one of the reasons I think I took on the particular kind of research that I do. You know, I became really, the work that I do is really inspired by Lili Kalaka Me'elehiwa. I was about to be a senior in college. I walked into her office because, you know, she's my auntie, right? I'm like, Auntie, I need to write an honors thesis in order to stay in school. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I'm sitting in her office And she looks at me and she like kind of chuckles and she says, you know, have you ever read the Mo'olelo Hiʻiaka i ka polio pele? And I'm like, oh, what do you mean read it? Like, I know the story. I can tell you a story. I know the story. I've heard it many times. She's like, no, but have you read it? I'm like, no. And she's like, okay, you ever heard of this wahine hopoi? I was like, what? No, this is a story about Hiʻiaka. There's no hopoi. I don't know what you're talking about. This is Hiʻiaka and Pele and maybe wahine ma'o if you've been paying attention. She's like, okay, go read any version. I don't even care if it's in English. Just go read any version. Go look for hopoi. I think she has something to tell you. And like, that moment changed my entire life because I found hopoi, and then so many things that I was like fighting to hold on to as a keiki, Hawaii, I was like, oh, I'm not weird, and I'm not an outcast, and I'm not an abomination, like, you know, to my kupuna, like, I'm hopoi. So people are like, oh, you're Hiʻiaka. I'm like, no, I'm not Hiʻiaka. I'm actually hopoi. I'm the one who like loved one wahine and like gave my ululehua to one wahine. Because Hiʻiaka, she get plenty lovers. Good for her. Speaking of, we talk about that.
Female
good for her. Yeah. For those who want it, go for it. That's a lot of energy. I don't have that much money.
Use your immune system.
But that led me, to the word aikane, a word that when you look it up at the dictionary does not satisfy.
Not at all.
No shade on puku'i, I love puku'i, but that does not satisfy.
Product of her time.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows how people are policing the way that she's defining things and her own religious beliefs. So cool. But was not satisfying to me.
Right.
And so that led me on a journey to like, okay, well, if I don't have a good definition for aikane, there's got to be so many examples of it. And if it appears hundreds of times in the Mo'olelo of Hiʻiaka i ka polio pele, it's got to appear thousands of times elsewhere. And so I thought it was all about aikane. And then I realized when I started doing that work that aikane is one small piece in the way that we relate to each other and one small piece in the way that we think about, again, lack of a better term, like gender and how we present. This is a long way to get to the answer of like, why did we do this special issue?
Yeah, right.
Well, Brian Kamali Kuwata was whispering in my ear a few years ago. He's like, hey, you want to do a special issue on like, I don't know, like queer Kānaka stuff? And I was like, that sounds great. Someone else should do it. And then a few years later, he's like, hey, you want to do a special issue? I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And he said, well, Ākea's down. I'm like, I'm down. Let's go. I got someone to work with. I don't want to do this by myself.
Right.
But the real like, of the why, I think, is that so many of us Kānaka who love and practice intimacy in a way that has been queered by our communities, so many of us have been forced to like, I think prematurely find language to describe who we are in a context that is ever evolving. And as a young person, I never identified with my sexuality. Because, and I think I found out later through my study of Hiʻiaka and other mo'olelo that like, oh, it's because my sexuality is not what makes me who I am.
Period.
Right? And like, actually, I can find the way I behave in being Kānaka. I can just say I'm Kānaka, and this is why I love the way that I love. And those of us like myself were really lucky to be exposed to other places and other political contexts where a queer community is so essential to the survival of people who love like us, right? Who like didn't grow up in a family like mine where my parents were gonna love, not just love and accept me, but celebrate the way that I love, which is so, in my generation, I feel like really rare. And so we had to find, I feel like part of my kuleana is to find a way to make space for like, you wanna use the LGBTQ language, go for it. You wanna use the word queer, go for it. You wanna say that the way we love is about being Kānaka, but we need to have the difficult conversation with our community to understand that just because I'm not making you call me queer doesn't mean you don't have to unpack some homophobia.
Absolutely.
Right? That's a lot of what the work of the special issue I think we're trying to do is like, it's not enough to say our kupuna did this. We have to reckon with the fact, not enough to say that our kupuna would accept this and they themselves would practice in this way. There's still violence right now against our people, a very explicit targeting of certain members of our community. And we need all of our folks, all of our Kānaka. If you don't want to say there's queer Kānaka and there's ʻaikana and there's Māhū, we just want to be Hawaiian, then you need to show up to the party and start defending all the different ways that we can
Absolutely.
be Kānaka.
Yep.
And so that's what I hope. I mean, I hope the special issue does that and like shows a breath, a small piece of that breath.
It will.
I'll stop talking about this because that was a lot. I said I had a lot.
No, that was good.
No, that was
I'm
good.
sorry.
That was good.
Yeah, I mean, this is soul work for me.
Yes.
For all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think back again to Ku'ulili Kala, like, I don't know if she saved my life, but she expanded my life. And so how can our work save lives? It will save lives. That's such a wild thing to say. We are so targeted, but it will save people's lives. And hopefully we get to a point where it doesn't have to save lives. It can just make that abundance.
Celebrate.
Yeah.
Like your family did.
Expand
Celebrate.
those lives. Yeah. So, oia vale.
Wow.
Kikopo.
Yeah, that's...
Wow, yeah.
Listeners out there, we want you folks to know that Hulili, the special issue is coming. But it's so much more than just words on paper. That each person's contribution, it's embedded with all of this love, fear, shame, hope. Like there's so much to this that we're not just talking about, and Huli is about well-being, but a well-being from a sense of survival and trying to now be in a thriving space, especially in where we feel we're supposed to be safe in Kānaka spaces.
Yeah.
That's not always the case.
Yeah.
Given how, like you said, some people adopt certain ways of being and knowing, whatever, until, and this was kind of the feedback with the word Māhui, was, I guess, othering Māhu again against the lāhui, right? But or at least my response to that is Māhui is always going to be a concentric circle within lāhui, and until the point where violence is no longer enacted, then Māhui doesn't have to exist. Because we can all just be Kānaka, and it doesn't matter if you're Kane Wahine Māhu.
Yeah.
But until that, we have to look it in the face and be like, we're not safe in our own spaces.
Yeah.
And it's disingenuous to say that just calling us all, like not calling us the Māhui is going to make us feel more safe. That's disingenuous.
No. Yeah. We have to, unfortunately, take up space and remind people that there needs to be some sort of acknowledgement as to the shitty things that are going on, right? In order for us to actually unpack it and have the la'au lapa'au applied and feel the burn, right? Before it gets better. Yeah. So you folks are doing that with your work. Mahalo. Speaking of work, Leināʻala, can you talk about your poem that you are doing in honor and how that came to be and why you submitted it and what that's about?
It's kind of along the lines of not feeling comfortable in my own community and that kind of thing. And people like to throw that questions around like, what are you?
Yeah, right. What are you?
Well, what am I? Well, does it matter? Like I'm here, I'm breathing.
Yeah, I showed up.
Yeah, and for a long time I was like, I'm Hawaiian. And what does that mean? It means I'm Hawaiian.
Right.
You don't need to put a label on me. I am who I am. This is how I'm going to be.
Totally.
But that frustration of that constant question of, and it's like a normal thing. I think everybody wants to put things into categories because it helps us to figure out how we feel about something and judging it, whether that's good or bad. I mean, it doesn't always have to be pejorative. Sometimes you're just like, oh, cool. Now I know, now we have something in common, right? But it's all that labeling that I felt can be harmful for our people, because it's like a double-edged sword. It's a blessing, but it's also like heavy kuleana, because even in our spaces, like you said, we're not safe. And for me, I would see it way back in the day, at the original hulas, we would call it the tree, right? Because it was under this beautiful tree and all that kind of stuff. And I remember my friends would sneak in because it was the only space where if you were gay or mahu, that you had to hang out and not worry about leaving. But even when we left, we had to do it in groups because I can't even tell you how many people disappeared from one night stands and either had like crazy type of violence enacted on their person and their soul, and that's horrible.
Yep.
These are our kupuna, our uncles or gunkles or whatever, and not even solely male, but also female, that stuff like this will happen. So for me, like, in a way, it was self-preservation. When people would ask that question, I would just go to Hawaiian, because I didn't know, can I trust you? Can I trust you with this? Can I trust you with my body and my soul and all that kind of stuff? So that was more the frustration of coming out to the other end and being like, okay, I lived all these years and saw the bad things that are happening, but now I feel like it's a little safer. I mean, in a way, I'm lying to myself, because I can see the violence the dolls
Still
are getting, and all these other people, especially with current administration, and how like crazy polarizing and like in your face people can get with the violence. But yet, in a way, you kind of just have to like practice aloha ʻāina and just be like, okay, you know what? Or a couple aloha, just be like, I'm going to be okay with who I am and where I'm at. I'm going to let you deal with your trauma that you obviously are still dealing with.
Right.
I mean, you know, I'm just going to kind of be a mirror and let you see what you need to see. But that's not who I am.
No. Don't project that.
Yeah. But that's your work that you have to do. And also, like, being part of the community, it's like, I don't have the energy to help you deal with that.
I'm just surviving.
Yeah. Like, especially at this age, my son's like, oh, maybe you'll do this. And I was like, I don't have time for another like relationship and be like, this is how me and my people feel, and this is what land means to me. Like, okay, I'm just gonna cut that part off, and like, you know what? No, I need to elevate my people. You know, like education for my nation, and that's it. If you can hang with that, cool. Come on, we need more bodies to help out with this. You can't hang with that.
Sorry.
Deuces, I'm out. Yeah, I can't. Like, I don't have time for it.
You got work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, like, what I wish people would realize is that to just take a moment and step back and look at what we've built so far. I mean, obviously there will always be work, but appreciate like where you're at right now.
Totally.
Because we are here from the work and on the backs broken from so many of our kupuna, right? Nameless ones who did stuff and endured stuff that we can't even fathom, right? But we have that privilege of being here and being like, having an opinion on something.
Totally.
Right? So anyway, yeah, back to it. For me, it was a little cathartic. It was going through all of these relationships, and even in the relationships where I felt like I should have been safe, they still would question. They're like, well, maybe you just didn't know, you're just discovering. I was like, no. I have forever lived in this dichotomy. I've always been in the gray area. Like, I'm with the living and I'm with the ones who passed away. Like, my dreams come true. I have a lot of premonitions, and you know, like, so I'm in both. Wahine and Kane, I'm a warrior and a peacemaker. I'm a mother, and I have to be a father.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that. Yeah. That gray spot is amazing for me. That might not be what other people like, but that's okay. You go be you. Go live your destiny. Get out of here.
Yes, be monochromatic, whatever it is over there.
You are over there.
But you can be liminal and unapologetically liminal.
It took a long time for me to get to that, because I also had feelings where I didn't feel like I don't fit in anywhere. Like, what's going on? Even though my facade was like, yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, we're good.
Sure.
And I had to remind myself even more in these modern days, like, who are you making feel better by being like, yeah, you're okay with? Just be like, no, actually, I'm not having a good day.
Yeah.
Sucks. I hate my job. I hate working for the city.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No.
You guys make me feel very unhappy.
Right.
But also, I need to be there because we need Kānaka voices in matters of, we're talking about, I get paid to talk trash, right?
Right. Here we are.
And, you know, where are we talking about the landfill? Why are we talking about it there? Is that culturally appropriate to have it there?
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of conversations happening, elsewhere that we need to be present for, that we need
Yes.
Indigenous people to be, whether Kānaka or others. Yeah, it's all super important.
Relating to that, it's making me think of one of the talks you were doing at Kamakaku, I think with Auntie Pua case during the Mauna movement.
Okay.
Anyway, but you had talked about Haunani Ke and the story behind when she was saying we are not American, and people who weren't her students were just like,
Appalled.
they were just appalled that, you know,
Yes,
someone
they
could say
were.
that. And that's probably one of the first times on a big grand scale that people can be anti-American and not like lightning strikes down and you're done, right? But now everyone's like, yeah, I'm including myself. I'm like
Yeah.
super comfortable in saying that. But what really struck me in your speech was saying at the time that she was saying it, she was at the front line and being, you know, just labeled as this angry, you know, whatever, troublemaker. And the lāhui didn't necessarily have the capacity to show up and take care of a frontline wahine
Yep.
Yes.
in the way that she needed to be.
There were people booing
Right.
in the crowd. It was crazy.
We only see the sticker with the we
we
don't
didn't
see
get
the
those sound
eha
bites.
behind.
Yes.
And the kuleana of us as people not on the front lines to be like, hey, thank you. Now come back to the hale and we're
gonna
gonna
malama
malama
you.
you,
Yeah.
so that you can go back out there. But there really wasn't any kind of that. So thank you for pointing that out.
You know, that was pointed, I was in therapy at that time, and I had this great Kānaka therapist. She was really, really wonderful. And she said to me in a really early conversation I had with her, why she really believed it was important that I was there at that moment. And she's like, you know, look around all those leaders from the 80s and the 90s, all those wahine, none of them are well. Either every single one of them is struggling through something physical, something emotional, something psychological. All of them are struggling. And they're not that old that they should all be struggling. Right? And to me in that moment, like I thought about all that, in particular, how Nani had given by saying the things that needed to be said that so very few people wanted to hear in that moment. And I'm so glad that Kumuho Nani gets her flowers now. Like, but we act like she was always beloved and cherished. When she was really mistreated.
Yes.
She was, and not just by Haole. People act like it was just Haole who mistreated her. It was Hawaiians, it was Hawaiian women, it was Hawaiian men, it was all kinds of people saying that kind of stuff about her. And so I think we learn, in retrospect, I learned from that one, yes, we need to malama our wahine. We need to malama the people who are willing to take those risks that move us forward. But the other thing that I think gets lost on us right now is that, like, we can say we are not American now. What are the things that we need to say now that are uncomfortable? Free Palestine?
Yes, free
Right?
Palestine.
Yes.
And not just ceasefire, but end the occupation in
Yes.
Palestine, because the occupation is linked to our occupation and occupations elsewhere. Like there's a dissonance.
Totally.
When we look back on history, I'm like, wow, she's so radical, she's so cool. Well, she took heat.
Yeah.
She took heat. And so who's gonna take heat to build a really robust international global movement of solidarity that's rooted in the kind of principles that Kumuhonani taught? You brought up something really important about Kumuhonani, in that she taught her classes that were about Hawaii and about power and colonialism in Hawaii through a study of other struggles.
Yes.
And we're missing that.
Yeah.
Even as Mahu Hawaii, we're missing that global understanding of heteropatriarchy, that global understanding of white supremacy, that global understanding of imperialism. More study on that, more kumu like Haunani, more wahine, mahu, kane willing to take risk, put their bodies and their voices on the line, more people makauko to malama them after that very aggressive act is done. That's what's going to move.
Yeah, and if you're not one
movement.
to be on the front lines, not everyone is, but to risk yourself in being a caretaker to the people who want
Be a
to.
kia'i, not just to ʻāina,
Full on, yes.
but to each other.
Kia'i Kānaka.
Ayo,
Yeah.
ayo.
And we talked about in the intro of this season, where Navahi talks about Kānaka being extensions of ʻāina itself. We have to malama each other in the way that we malama ʻāina.
Ayo.
Right? And that goes for people who want to be on the front, chained to the cattle guard, right? Who are the people who show up for them when they need rest?
And if you ask the people who are on the cattle guard about that day, everyone will tell you that they've never been taken care of the way that they were taken care of that day.
Wow.
ai, vai,
Right.
malama kino,
Yes.
mele,
Yes.
hula,
Right.
pule.
Right.
Never in my life had I experienced that kind of intensive care. And so how do we replicate that incredible moment that, you know, everyone wanted to do what they could for the mauna, and then learning that, oh, doing that for the mauna meant doing it for each other?
Yeah.
How do we replicate that in the small and big ways in
Right.
everything we're doing?
The everyday actions that lead
Yeah.
up to a bigger thing.
I think Māhū, I think a study of Pilina Hawaii, that actually teaches us more about that piece than almost any other
Right.
sub-discipline in Ike Hawaii.
And I think that's found in mo'olelo and to increase our literacy in that.
Yeah.
I think with 5 minutes left, we are going to close up. Is there any kind of momi, morsel, any kind of thing to munch on that you want the listeners, viewers to know about your work, or things to look forward to, or things you wish they knew about you in terms of the work you do?
I'm still like reeling from what you're saying.
We're like,
Yeah, like no, there's a lot. I mean, yay, give us our kudos about all of the foundations, all the kahua that have been put in place and that kind of stuff. But actually, you know what? No. Like, to me, the most important thing that any Kānaka can do, regardless of where you are on your decolonization journey,
Yes.
is be a keeper of mo'olelo. Find more mo'olelos so you can figure out what your place is in this. Yeah, because I was just like thinking about queer histories in Hawaii. Like, I didn't know some of the stuff that our people were saying, and I was like, wow. And for you to bring this up, I'm like, oh, in my head, I'm like, we can do like, we can have a whole bunch of people come, we can do conferences and all this kind of stuff. So once you have dedicated yourself to keeping stories, then figure out how you're going to organize and let people know about those stories. It's about organization. And right now with technology and stuff like that, I feel like organization could be you're an influencer, could be you're sharing small stories and that kind of stuff, different ways of saying things, because really the language is the carrier of our culture. And now mainstream people are hearing Olelo Hawaii,
yes.
you know, in a Hollywood sense.
Uh-huh.
But now they're more open to hearing it from actual speakers.
Humans.
Right.
Even though we've been there for a while, they're a little bit more open to it. And so I'm all about pushing that door open.
Yes, you're seeing the growth of the low.
Literally.
The growth.
Yeah. And so keep your stories and tell them, we need to hear the stories. That's the whole reason you're here, is to share your stories. And for those who are having a hard time, like they don't feel like they fit in, just keep going. There's no reason to not tell your story or cut your story short. You're here for a reason. You're loved, you're wanted, you're needed. And you'll find, if your family doesn't want you, you will find a family who wants you. So that's it.
You're making me think of the kahuli leolea. The kahuli, get that, those snails over here, right? Those singing snails that, they don't sing on themselves, but when the wind goes through them, right? That's when their leo is heard. And so you're making me think of people that have the stories, their kupuna, and what needs to be pushed forth is what makes them sing, to find their voice. Not the Hilary Duff movie, Raise Your Voice, not that one.
Okay,
not that one.
We'll talk about that one later.
But anyway,
Swifties later.
there's a lot to unpack there, but thank you for that.
No, thank you.
Hioli?
I want to mahalo you for that, Manao. I think it's so important for people to remember that, like, there are ohana here waiting who are ready for you if your ohana is not. Two small things. I think the first thing is that, similar to what Auntie shared, like, if you are not, as a Kānaka, if you're not feeling confident or full or safe in yourself as a Kānaka, not seeing the mirrors you need, go back to the mo'olelo, because they're there. And I know not everyone has access to the mo'olelo, so we have to do a better job of making that more accessible for people to find those mirrors, I think.
Yes.
And then the second momi, and this is me on my soapbox, like, honestly, this is what the whole first book was really about, is that like aloha ʻāina, this thing we talk about that's really important, and it's political, and it is about nationalism, and it is about a political organization fighting for a Hawaiian nation. But it's also about the fact that ʻāina teaches us how to aloha each other. Yes. And we so often forget that piece, that the way we love ʻāina, like this, the kauna in the mo'olelo and the kauna in the mele, it's not metaphor to hide the sexy things we're doing while the missionaries are like trying to keep track of us. It's actually instruction. Like the way you water your kanu is the way you need to water your wahine.
Totally.
And the way you like witness the vai breaking off the pali, and you're singing this beautiful song about this wahine irikea and the vai off the pali, that's how you're supposed to like be in awe of your wahine and your kane and your mahu aloha. So I just want to remind us that like yes, we need to get more in ʻāina. We need to hulikalima i lalo, but don't let that separate from the way we like malama each other.
Yes.
Do that, and everyone's going to have more pleasure.
Yes,
maybe
it's
less
all about
violence,
the
more aloha.
Yes.
And we'll all be in a better mood.
Yeah. You're making me think, and not to quote myself, I guess.
Yes, quote yourself.
Quote myself here. So in my play of Hoʻilini from Hana Kiaka, there's this one line that says, "He miliona ka Hawaii, he miliona ka Hawaii ana." That now that we've reached a million Hawaiians, there's a million ways to be Kānaka.
Ew.
But all based in how we malama is ʻāina, is how we're going to malama each other. And until we start getting back into this, then we know how to weave our liko, make a beautiful lei, that represent aloha ʻāina, represent how we see each other, and not going to the store, get plastic, the kind, and be like, oh yeah, that's how we're going to, no, it's right here. Our teachers are right here.
Ew.
Anyway. Mahalo nui to you, Wāhine, for joining us on another episode of Kūkā Kīkī. And back to our listeners out there, thank you very much. All right, aloha.
Mahalo nui for sipping the tea on Kūkā Kīkī. Until next time, e inu I ka wai I ke kupuna, a e ho'ohainu I ka waha mo'opuna. Aloha.